There are stories that never make it to the headlines. Words that are never spoken in interviews. And messages that are typed, felt, regretted, and then deleted before anyone can read them. But sometimes, silence is louder than any sentence. And what someone doesn't say tells you more than anything they could have written. This is the story of a message that could have changed everything. A message he wrote, with trembling hands, and erased seconds later. And yes, that he was Can Yaman. And the one he wanted to send it to was Demet. It had been months. Months since the last time their eyes met on a film set. Months since the last text. Since the last hug that lasted a little too long. Since the world believed they had both moved on. But what no one knew, what even Demet didn't know, was that one night, around 3:14 a.m. Can sat alone, in a hotel room in Rome, staring at his phone. He wasn't scrolling through social media. He wasn't talking to fans. He was looking at her number. Still saved under the same name, Crescent Moon My Moon, Demet. He had never changed it. Not even after everything. Not even after all the rumors, the heartbreak, the distance. Because for him, she wasn't just a co-star. She was the one. Earlier that evening, something strange had happened. He'd received a message from an unknown account. No photo, no name. Just one line, "Did you ever tell her the truth?" He stared at it for minutes. He didn't reply. He didn't even want to guess who it was. But it was enough to send him spiraling. Because the truth was, he never did. He never told Demet what really happened. Why he disappeared. Why he pushed her away at the height of their love. Why he broke a heart that was never his to hurt. So he opened his notes app. Typed something. Deleted it. Typed again. He opened WhatsApp. Searched for her name. It came up instantly. Her profile photo still visible, it hadn't changed in weeks. A simple black and white shot of her at a beach. Hair flying. Eyes closed. At peace. He clicked on her chat. There it was, the last message he had sent her. "Are you okay?" Sent months ago. Unread. She had never replied. But that night, something in him broke. And without thinking, without filters, without guards, he started typing. "I don't even know if you'll read this. But I saw something today that reminded me of you. And I can't stop thinking about that night. The one we promised we'd never talk about. The one I still dream about." He paused. Breathed. His heart was pounding. He continued. "I'm sorry for how I left things. I wish I could tell you why. I wish I could hold your hand one more time and explain everything. But I was scared. Scared that if I stayed, I'd fall too deep. And I did fall. Even after leaving, I never stopped falling." He stared at the message. Every word felt like a confession. Every letter, like a piece of his soul. And just as he was about to hit send, his thumb hovered. 1 second. 2. 3. And then, he deleted it. Gone. Just like that. The truth, once again, swallowed by fear. But what he didn't know, was that Demet was awake too. In Istanbul. Alone in her apartment. Holding her phone. Looking at his name. Because she had seen him in a dream. Again. And this time, she cried. Demet stared at the ceiling. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. No music. No TV. Just the hum of the refrigerator in the distance, and the occasional whisper of wind brushing against the window. Her phone was in her hand. She hadn't opened his chat in weeks. Not since she'd finally convinced herself that it was over. That whatever had existed between them, on set, off set, in hotel corridors and behind closed doors, was just a phase. A sweet, painful, unforgettable phase. But tonight, something was different. She couldn't sleep. Her heart felt heavy, like something was trying to surface. something she had buried deep. She unlocked her phone. Tapped his name. Can Yaman. Still there. Still saved. No heart emoji. No nickname. Just his name. She hadn't blocked him. Not because she hoped he'd write, but because a part of her couldn't let go of the what if. And what she didn't know was that just 5 minutes earlier, he had almost done it. Almost opened the door. Almost let the truth out. But instead, he had chosen silence. Again. Back in Rome, Can stood by the window. He opened a beer, took one sip, and left it on the windowsill untouched. He hated this part of himself, the part that loved too deeply, but spoke too little. The part that believed strength meant holding it in. That vulnerability was weakness. But Demet had always seen through him. She always knew when he was pretending. On set, when he smiled for the camera but had tears in his eyes, she would whisper, "You don't have to hide it from me." And he believed her. Once. Their love wasn't born in a romantic dinner or a candlelit kiss. It began in stolen moments between takes. In laughter that came too naturally. In glances that lingered just a second too long. At first, they denied it. "We're just close because we work together," they told everyone. But behind the scenes, they shared coffees in silence. Shared headphones on flights. She once fell asleep on his shoulder during a layover. He didn't move for 2 hours, just so she could rest. And then, there was that night. The night after the season finale. No cameras. No stylists. Just them. A rooftop. 2 glasses of wine. And a promise. "Let's not fall in love." She said it half-jokingly. He laughed. And then, he kissed her. It was soft. Almost afraid. Because in that moment, they both knew, it was already too late. They had already fallen. But love doesn't always come with guarantees. Especially when fame knocks on the door. When interviews are filled with lies you have to tell to protect what's real. When fans create stories. When directors give you advice on what not to post. When managers say, "Don't be seen together." It'll ruin the mystery. And Can, who had always been the bold one, began to retreat. He started to cancel plans. Became colder on set. Didn't answer calls. Demet tried to stay patient. She thought he was overwhelmed. Maybe tired. Maybe stressed. But she didn't know the full truth. What Can never told her, what he wanted to write that night but couldn't, was this. He had been offered a contract abroad. A major project. One that could launch him internationally. But it came with conditions. No public relationships. No scandals. And definitely, no open connection to Demet Özdemir. His team had warned him, "She's a distraction. People are already talking. If this gets out, they'll say it's a publicity stunt." So he made a choice. He said nothing. He disappeared. And he let her believe it was her fault. Demet, on the other hand, fell apart quietly. She still went to events. Smiled for cameras. Posted vacation photos. Laughed in interviews. But no one knew that she cried herself to sleep for weeks. That she kept his hoodie in a drawer. That she rewatched scenes from their series, not as an actress, but as a woman who once felt truly seen. Her friends asked, "Did he cheat? Did you fight?" She shook her head. No. He just stopped. But what haunted her most was not the silence. It was what he didn't say. If he had cheated, she could hate him. If they had fought, she could blame him. But nothing? Just distance? That was worse. Because it meant maybe, he just didn't care. But she was wrong. And he was wrong too. Because what they never understood was that both of them were hurting. Both of them still checked each other's interviews. Both still watched the other's stories without being logged in. Both still kept gifts in drawers. Both still whispered the other's name in moments of weakness. And both still loved. In silence. The days passed. Rome continued to glow under its golden sun. Istanbul went on buzzing with its chaotic beauty. Fans speculated. Magazines guessed. But neither of them spoke. Not a word. Not a post. Not even a glance. But sometimes, silence isn't empty. Sometimes, silence is a storm waiting to break. Can returned to Istanbul 2 weeks later. A project had fallen through, some producer pulled out. He told the media he was fine. He wasn't. Because ever since that night, the night he almost sent that message, something had shifted. His thoughts weren't his own. Everything reminded him of her. The scent of jasmine on the Bosphorus. The old cafe where they used to sit after shoots. The ringtone she once used, that he now heard in a taxi. And the worst part? He started dreaming of her again. But not as she was now, as she used to be. Carefree. Laughing. Telling him to stop overthinking everything. In one dream, she simply looked at him and said, "Why didn't you let me in?" Demet, meanwhile, had just wrapped up a new series. The final scenes had been intense. She was tired. But there was an invitation on her phone, a private gala for a charity project. She didn't want to go. But something told her, she needed to. She arrived late. Wore simple black. Minimal makeup. No PR team. She wasn't there to impress anyone. But she didn't expect him to be there. And yet, there he was. Standing near the balcony. Holding a drink he wasn't sipping. Eyes scanning the crowd. Until they stopped. On her. They didn't move at first. Not a step. Just, eye contact. The kind that says everything without saying a word. She thought her heart would stop. He thought he was hallucinating. But then, Demet took a breath. A small step forward. He did the same. Within seconds. They were face to face. After months. After 1,000 unspoken words. After the message he had deleted. "Hi," she said. It was barely a whisper. "Hi," he replied. And for a moment, they were just Can and Demet. Not celebrities. Not ex-lovers. Just two people. Who had never truly let go. There was an awkward pause. And then she said it. "I was awake that night." He blinked. "What night?" She smiled, almost painfully. "The night you almost messaged me." He froze. "You, how do you?" "I don't know," she said, "I just felt it. I was looking at your name on my phone. Wondering if you were going to say something. And somehow, I knew you didn't." He looked away. "I did write it," he said softly. "I wrote everything. But I deleted it. I was afraid." "Of what?" He met her eyes. "Of saying too much. Of hoping. Of feeling everything again, and losing it." There it was. The moment. The truth. Raw. Real. Standing naked between them. Demet took a breath. "Next time," she said, "don't delete it." And before he could reply, she walked away. Not angrily. Not sadly. Just, peacefully. Because for the first time, she had closure. And so did he. A week passed. No new calls. No texts. No accidental meetings. Just, silence. But it was different this time. This wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence of two people who finally told the truth. Until one evening, Can opened his phone. Looked at her chat. No typing. No writing. just staring. And then, without overthinking it, he wrote one sentence. I won't delete this one. And hit send.